the big news.
News? What news?
Sorry.
What?
All right, but this is beyond news. This is like Pearl Harbor or the Kennedy assassination. It's like not even news, it's total shock.
Oh, come on, Jerry, please, 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 please.
Funny digital. Got the club going up on the Tuesday.
Hello and welcome to Article 2 of March 12th, Tuesday Newsday. Bonus points for anyone who can name the band in the opening moments of today's Tuesday Newsday video. Our learning goal is to determine two or more central ideas of a text and analyze the development over the course of that text, including how they interact and build on one another. The scale should look familiar. Form means that you can identify the central ideas, the evidence the author uses to prove his or her point, and how the ideas build on one another. A 3 means that you can identify the central idea and the evidence that the author uses to prove his or her point. A 2 means that you can identify the central idea, but you're missing some of those evidence pieces. And a 1 means that you are unsure of how to find the central idea. To receive 1.5 units for today's class, you must highlight or underline the main idea, circle the evidence that the author uses to support his or her point, and put a box around any other central ideas in the text. As always, there are 4 skills that we will continue to work on. The first is to identify the topic. Keep in mind that the topic and the main idea are different. We want to be able to summarize in 10 to 12 words what the author is trying to say. If you can do that, you're leading toward that main idea. Often, not always, but often, the first and last sentence are generally introductions and recaps, respectively, of what the main idea is. And repetition. If an author repeats something a lot, it probably is important to the main idea of the article. Today's article is titled, "These physicists, finally figured out why microwaved grapes ignite." I guess I didn't know that was a major question, but apparently in the physicist world, it is. Written on the 8th, so not that long ago. And it begins like this. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a pair of grape hemispheres exposed to intense microwave radiation will spark, igniting a plasma. The literature inclined will notice that the above quote is a riff on the famous first line of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. But while sparks may fly between Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy, that's nothing compared to the gouts of flame that ensue when 2 halves of a grape get close enough to touch while spinning inside a microwave. The above quote, in fact, is the first line of another great piece of literature published yesterday by Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. In the paper, linking plasma formation in grapes to microwave resonances of aqueous dimmers, physicists Hamza Katak, Pablo Bianucci, and Aaron D. Slepkova deployed many grapes in several microwaves in the name of science. Microwaving a nearly halved grape to watch the middle ignite is a popular, much-documented pastime, and for decades, this fiery parlor trick has been filmed and shared on the internet, where it mystified observers. The researchers set out to solve the mystery. You should know that fiery is a vocab word. The leading theory was that when 2 halves of a grape are microwaved, the skin bridge connecting them acts as an antenna. The current that runs through the antenna heats up until a plasma forms. Plasma, by the way, is an ionized gas that occurs when atoms are heated to the point that they release their electrons. Lightning is a plasma, as is the sun. That turned out not to be the case, says study author Pablo Bianucci, a physicist at Concordia University. He's been fielding calls all day from journalists interested in their fiery findings. His fellow researcher, Slepkova, first learned about the grape phenomenon on the internet in 1995, and they began studying it together as a side project in 2015. But it was only when undergraduate Klatek joined the team in 2017, says Bianucci, that the research pushed forward very quickly, using rejiggered microwaves that allowed them to take photos. Slepkova and Katak began microwaving grapes, according to the paper. The team used thermal imaging techniques and computer simulations to examine what was happening. It turned out that cutting the grapes wasn't necessary. Neither was the bridge of skin. Even two whole peeled grapes side by side could induce fireworks. In fact, any grape-like objects, including blueberries, cherry tomatoes, quail eggs, and hydrogel water beads, do the same. A fact that researchers assiduously proved by microwaving each in turn. This insight led the team to a new theory, in what Bianucci calls a very lucky coincidence. Grapes are mostly made of water, which, as it happens, reduces the wavelengths of microwaves significantly. From around 12 centimeters in the air, they go around 1 or 2 centimeters in water, a bit smaller than your average grape. Microwaves can get trapped inside the grape, says Bianucci. If a grape is microwaved by itself, a hot spot forms in its center from the trapped microwaves. But when the two grapes are close enough, the waves can hop from one to the other. This hopping resulted in a very strong electromagnetic field in between the grapes, he says. When the field is strong enough to ionize the sodium and potassium ions in the grapes, it resulted in a tiny fireball. The team's discovery took several years and resulted in the deaths of 12 microwaves. Even heavily modified microwaves don't like to run empty, save for 2 grapes. This might seem like lighthearted research, and the paper acknowledges that observing a piece of fruit burst into flames in a microwave is exciting and memorable. But there are also real-world implications, as Bianucci explained to Physics World. These findings could come in handy in the field of photonics, the study of light on a very small scale. Meanwhile, anyone interested in a free light show can microwave away, carefully, secure in the knowledge that we have a better idea of what's happening in there. So here we are back at the worksheet where we identify the 4 skills. The first is to identify the topic. Second, summarizing the story, first and last sentences, and repeated ideas. Now, for the last 2 weeks, I've given you kind of the first 4 here, and then that led you to the main idea. I hope that I have modeled properly for you kind of what I'm expecting in identifying the topic, summarizing the story, first and last sentences, and repeated ideas. Because this time, this worksheet's up to you. Take your time, go back through, find all the pertinent information, and it will lead you to this illustrious main idea of the article. When you are done, complete the vocab, turn it in for a unit and a half. And as always, ciao for now.